Hey guys, Stuck here. In today's video, I'm gonna be reading Snufkin X Reader fan fiction, just for fun. Oh my god. Um. Let's read. He. Let's read the random stuff X Reader or stories. I need to. Yeah. Yeah. The Moomins, 90s. Snufkin X female reader. Third person point of view. Haley could hear the familiar harmonica tune in the distance while sitting down on the grass with a fishing pole in one of her hands. She loved listening to the certain vagabond play his instrument he adored oh so much because it made her feel at peace. The bobber on her fishing pole bobbed up and down in the water gently as she hummed to the tune of the harmonica. She, however, heard the harmonica getting closer towards her presence. I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong. In respect to who this is, this fan fiction story. It kept getting closer until she felt the grass next to her shifted and he was sitting next to her. Hello, Haley. Lovely day in Moomin Valley, isn't it? Haley immediately stopped humming and cleared her throat. Hello, Snufkin. Yes, it is. The temperature is quite lovely. I'd have to agree. Perfect weather for fishing. Would you mind if I join you? Haley's ears brightened and quickly nodded. Yes, of course. I wanted some company anyways. Haley couldn't help but blush when he looked at her and grinned. Oh my gosh. Like in episode 13, where he grinned at the dragon. Ugh, he's so cute. Oh my god. Haley had to admit it. She had grown to admire him a lot, more than one usually does. He was always so kind to her, she couldn't help it but adore him. She reached into his pack and pulled out his wooden fishing rod and casted the land into the water. The next few minutes were complete silence. Not that either one minded. They both quite enjoyed the silence. Haley felt eyes on her, so she turned her head to see Snufkin staring at her with a compassionate look in his eyes. She stared back at their faces, kept inching closer and closer. Haley, just as Snufkin started to speak, he was interrupted by a familiar voice in the distance. Snufkin! Snufkin! Haley! Your friend Moomin ran up to you both with his girlfriend Snorkmaiden in hand. I think that in the show it said she was his girlfriend, so I just put that down. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah, I just watched that episode where Snorkme said to Moomin, You're my you're my boyfriend, aren't you? Yeah. I mean, that was cute. Of her to say that. And respected to this fan fiction story. Oh, hello, Moomin and Snork Maiden, Haley replied with a kind of smile. Hello, Haley. Moomin and I were on the way here to the beach to go look for seashells. The Maya and Sniff are already there. We stopped by on our way to see if you guys wanted to join. Haley smiled and nodded her head. Of course I will go. What about you, Snufkin? Snufkin turned his head to her and grinned, nodding as well. As will I. The ocean will be beautiful at this time of day. Haley got up and started to walk with Moomin and the Snork Maiden. Snufkin stayed a little bit behind to be alone with his thoughts. He sighed. I'll tell her at the beach. Still third person point of view. As soon as the group got to the beach, they could hear Sniff screaming and Lil Mai laughing. Haley saw the scene before them. Lil Mai was chasing Sniff with a crab. Oh dear, Haley sighed and went to help Moomin break up the teasing. Lil Mai, it's going to be pinch me. Sniff was running across the beach while Lil Mai was close behind, catching up to him. Ha ha ha, Sniff. No way, this is too funny. Lil Mai was almost to him until she was stopped by Moomin and Haley. Hey, I almost had him. Lil Mai sat down on the sand with the crab still in hand. That wasn't very nice, Lil Mai. Sniff was clearly not comfortable with you chasing him. Please go apologize, Haley said while pointing to Sniff with his arms crossed. Lighten up, Haley. I was just having fun. Sniff wasn't having any fun though, Lil Mai, Snufkin said while walking up to stand next to Haley. All right, fine. You guys are no fun. She walked up to Sniff. Sniff, I'm sorry. Sniff uncrossed his arms and smiled. It's okay, Lil Mai. I guess you were just having fun. Snork Maiden clapped her hands and beamed. Now that's over, how about we go collect some beautiful seashells? Haley giggled and pulled Snufkin by the arm over to the seawall, making him mumble a playful "Whoa!" while chuckling. Haley found some seashells that she really liked and put them in her coat pocket to make it a little seashell chandelier and to Snufkin close behind her. Snork Maiden and Moomin were playing in the water and splashing each other with water while Lil Mai and Sniff were playing tag not so far away from the four. Eventually, the game of tag turned into hide and seek on the beach with the whole group, and Moomin was it. Moomin had caught everybody. Lil Mai and Snork Maiden were hidden behind a rock, and Snufkin and Sniff behind a tree not so far from the beach. He had caught everybody except for Haley. Oh, where could she be? Moomin said while looking all around the beach. I'm sure she's around her somewhere, Moomin. She couldn't have gone far, Snufkin told him while sticking his hands in his coat pockets. Yeah, yeah, Sniff and Lil Mai went to go look for her as well. No. Yeah, Sniff and Lil Mai went to go look for her as well, Moomin. If we don't find her, they will. The three heard the sound of feet crunching against the sand coming towards them. Everybody, we found her! Really? Where is she? Moomin yelled back. She's in the cave. Her dress is stuck. A rock almost fell on her and she got out of the way just in time. Lil Mai, he and I couldn't lift the rock. Snufkin started running towards the cave before the others had a chance to react. The others followed Snufkin to help her friend. Haley struggled to get her dress from out under the rock. If the rock was smaller, she could have tore her dress out no problem, but the rock was 2 times the size as her. Come on, let me go, she repeated over and over. Just as tears formed in the corners of her eyes, she heard running in the distance. She turned to see Snufkin and the others behind him. You guys, thank you for coming. Please help me out. Hoot. Don't worry, Haley. We'll get you out of here, Moomin yelled while running towards the rock. They all approached the rock and started to lift the rock. Come on, Haley. We need your help as well. Right. It's Haley nodded her head and started lifting the rock with all her remaining energy. Soon, the rock was just enough off of the ground to let her escape. Hurry, Haley! Snufkin yelled through his teeth, seeking the weak girl before him. Haley nodded and got her dress out from under the rock, and they all let go of the rock as it harshly hit the sand below them. Thank you guys so much. I thought I would never get my dress out. The whole group sat on the sand and sighed, completely exhausted. Come on, let's get out of here before another one of us gets stuck under a rock. Moomin turned to face all of them. They all nodded. It was almost sunset now. Sniff and Lil Mai asleep on the beach while Snufkin and Moomin still collected more seashells to give to each other. Snufkin and Haley both sat next to each other near the water while waiting for the sunset to show. I just wanted to thank you for helping rescue me, Snufkin. I'd still be under that rock if it wasn't for you. You don't need to thank me, Haley. That's what friends do. Haley sadly looked down at her hands, realizing she just got put in the friend zone. There's no way she'd tell him now. Look at that sunset, Haley. Haley looked up and saw the most beautiful shades of purple, orange, and yellow. Wow, it's gorgeous. Snufkin turned to Haley, who was looking at the sunset and gave her a lovey-dovey look. Gorgeous. Snufkin stood up and held out his hand to help her to her to help her stand up. She gladly took it. He looked at her straight in the eyes and held both of her hands. It's now or never, he thought. His ears and cheeks started glowing red as he spoke. Haley, I'm not the romantic type, but believe me, when I say this, Haley's cheeks started glowing as well. Haley, I adored you the first time I saw her brunette hair in the distance and looked into your haze. I think my eyes are like hazel. Oh, but it turns to brown though. But I'm just gonna say brown. Oh, your brown eyes, the way. Actually, I would say hazel. Oh, your hazel eyes, the way you are so kind to others, and how you almost want to help and to be near the people you love most. Haley was crying at this point. Into could you blame her? Haley, I'm in love with you, and I always will be. Snufkin, I love you too. I've been wanting to tell you, but She was cut off by Snufkin's lips connecting with hers. She slowly melted into the kiss and put her hands around his neck while his went around her waist. Oh my god. Oh my god. It went on like this for a few minutes until Lil Mai started singing. Snufkin and Haley sitting in a tree. Kissing. Haley and Snufkin turned to Lil Mai, both clearly embarrassed. Aren't you supposed to be asleep? Haley yelled at her. Well, it's hard to sleep with all this love in the air. Congratulations, Snufkin and Haley! Snork Maiden clapped her hand, and while Moomin smiled next to her, Sniff cheered for them. Haley and Snufkin turned to each other and smiled. Well, it's getting dark. It's getting dark. Lil Mai and I have got to start heading home before. Oh, wait. Wait. Well, it's getting dark. Lil Mai and I have got to start heading home before Mama gets worried. Already? Moomin chuckled and nodded. Yes. Bye, everybody. See you tomorrow. Moomin and Lil Mai waves while walking off. I have got to start heading home as well. Snork will be worried as well. I'll walk with you, Snork Maiden. I don't really like the dark. Wait, no. I'll walk with you, Snork Maiden. I don't really like the dark. Okay, Sniff. Bye, Snufkin and Haley. Bye. They both said at the exact same time. Come on, Haley. I'll take you home. Snufkin reached out his hand, signaling for her to hold it. Haley took his hand and gently squeezed it, and they started walking. They walked in the silence the entire time while Haley rested her head on Snufkin's shoulder. Soon enough, they were at Haley's cottage. Thank you for walking me home, Snufkin. Of course, my fair lady. He he took off his hat and bowed down, acting like she was royalty. Haley giggled and did a curtsy. I'm afraid that this is where we part, my prince, but I promise we will see each other tomorrow. Snufkin chuckled and grabbed both her hands and pecked her on the lips. Good night, Haley. I love you. Haley smiled. I love you too, Snufkin. Just as he started to walk back to his tent, Haley called out for him. Hey, Snufkin. Yes, Haley? Does this mean we are together? Snufkin chuckled and smiled. Yes, I suppose we are, Haley. Oh my god. Seriously? Seriously? Oh, there's part two? Oh my god. I'm totally reading it. Third person point of view. Haley woke up to the melody she had heard every day, but instead of in the distance away from her, it was being played right outside her window. Haley lifted the purple blanket hid off of her frame and opened the wooden window of her small cottage. She looked down to see her new boyfriend playing his harmonica on her front porch with one leg resting on the other. Hello, Snufkin, Haley called out to him. Snufkin stopped playing and looked up and saw his brunette-haired beauty waving to him. He smiled and waved back. Hello, my dear. Might I say your hair is looking oh so dashing today, he chuckled. Haley blushed at the pet name he gave her and turned over to her mirror and gasped. Her hair was atrocious. I think that's how you pronounced. She frowned and turned back to her partner. Let me brush my hair and I'll let you in. Oh, all right, my love. He nodded his head and smiled. Take all the time you need, my dear. I'll be right on the porch waiting. Haley smiles was at her beloved and turned to her mirror to fix her hair. She took the silver hair brush from her vanity. I think that's how you pronounced, and did up her hair in I don't have a favorite hairstyle. Oh, I'm just gonna go with a braid. In braid. After she was satisfied with how it looked, she ran down the stairs and undid the lock on her door to let her boyfriend in. Hello, Haley. You look lovely today, he said while taking both of her hands and looking into her eyes. Thank you, Snufkin. You look rather dashing yourself. He chuckled and pulled Haley into a kiss. It lasted for a few seconds, but to Haley, it felt like an eternity, and she didn't want it to end. Snufkin pulled away first and smiled at her. Haley smiled back and stepped aside. Would you like to come in? I could make some tea and biscuits for us. Snufkin smiled and nodded. That would be quite lovely. Thank you, my dear. They both stepped into the neat little cottage Haley resided in. Haley walked into her kitchen and pulled out a tea kettle. and went outside to grab water from her well. Snufkin waited patiently for her and looked at the decor of her cottage. Purple curtains, seats, rugs, flowers, you name it, she had it. Snufkin smiled to himself. His girlfriend really liked the color purple. Haley walked back to the tea kettle in a hand and put the kettle on the stove. While the water heated up, Haley he got out put the biscuits from a cupboard in her pantry. She put the biscuits on a purple plate and got the hot kettle off the stove. She poured the hot water into 2 purple teacups and put 1 tea bag in for each cup. She brought everything from the kitchen and placed on the wooden table as she sat down. They both sat in silence while they drank their tea and ate their biscuits. This went on for a while until Snufkin put his teacup on the coaster. Haley set out for them. Haley, Moomin, Snork Maiden, and the rest of our friends will be at Moomin House for lunch. They invited us if you would like to go. Haley set her teacup down as well. That sounds delightful. Let me put it on my dress and we can go after you finish out the tea. We can surprise them by being there early. Take as much time as you need, my dear. We are in no rush. After they both finished their little tea party, Snufkin took the dishes and put them in the small tub outside so that he could clean them. Haley told him he didn't have to do that, but Snufkin told her it was fine and to go get ready. Haley not wanting to argue, who went upstairs and opened the doors to her small wardrobe. She picked out a purple whole dress, then went slightly past her knees with a little heart-shaped pin on her left shoulder and small black boots with a purple ribbon to tie her hair up. Haley walked down the small steps to see Snufkin waiting for her with his hands in his pockets. He pushed out his arm a bit, but not taking his hand out of his pocket, signaling them to link arms. Haley smiled and put her arm around his and shut the door to her cottage. Locking it, they set out for Moomin House. Still third-person point of view. On the way to the tall blue house, Snufkin and Haley talked about irregular things like what time is the best to fish, and how to cook the perfect holiday feast without burning the food. When they got to the house, Snufkin knocked on the wooden door. Moomin Mama came to the door with a dish of sliced and seasoned vegetables. Oh, why hello, Snufkin and Haley. What a lovely surprise to see you here before her lunch. We thought it would be nice if he came before lunch to spend time with all of you. Haley smiled. Of course, dear. You are welcome here any time, day or night. Thank you, Mum. Thank you, Moomin Mama, Snufkin said, thanking her for her hospitality. Moomin Mama stepped aside so they could walk in and shut the door. The pair walked in to see Lil Mai and Moomin with colorful orbs all over the wooden floor in the living room. "Hello, you two. What are you playing?" Haley asked while walking over to them. Oh, oh, hello, Haley. We are playing marbles. Would you like to join us next game? Oh, I would love to, Haley said while Snufkin shook his head. No thanks, Moomin, but I will gladly watch you all play. Okay, Snufkin, Moomin said while going back to the game. After a while, Moomin won by knocking out all of Lil Mai's marbles. Sorry if I got this wrong. I have never played marbles before. No fair. You knocked out all of my marbles on that last turn. You cheated. Lil Mai stood up and stomped her little boot. It's barely making a vibration. That's how you play the game, Lil Mai. And I didn't cheat. I won fair and square, Moomin argued, standing up and looking down at her. Okay, you two, let's not go around arguing. Lil Mai, he and Moomin did win fairly. Do not be a sore loser. You can try again the next round, okay? Haley said. She was always the one who broke up the argument, which Snufkin greatly admired. Lil Mai sighed and sat down while crossing her arms. Yes, Haley. Good. Now let us start the game. Start the next game, Haley said while she sat on the floor and pulled out some marbles for herself. The game went on for some time, and right when they finished, Snork Maiden and Sniffle knocked on the door. I'll get it, Mama, Moomin yelled before Moomin Mama could even respond to the door. Hi, Snork Maiden. Hi, Sniff. Moomin greeted both of them kindly. Hello, Moomin dear, Snork Maiden said while kissing her partner's cheek. Oh my god. I'm not gonna even say a bad word. What are you guys doing? Sniff questioned while looking at all the colorful marbles that were scattered across the floor. We just finished a game of marbles. Would you like to join the next game? Moomin said, leading the two into the living room. But we've been playing marbles forever. Let's play hide and seek. That's much more exciting, Lil Mai whined. Good idea, Lil Mai. There are much more hiding places than on a beach, Snork Maiden said. Snufkin and Haley smiled and blushed at one another, thinking of yesterday. Oh, stop with the mushy. Sorry. Mushy. He stuffed you too, Lil Mai, he said while looking at the now embarrassed couple. Let's play already. After a few minutes of arguing between Moomin and Lil Mai, of who is gonna be it, Sniff said he enjoys being it, so he volunteered. All right, I'll count to 20 while you all hide. Ready? Go. When Sniff started to count, everyone ran in different directions. Snufkin grabbed his girlfriend's hand and pulled her upstairs. They went into the guest room and opened the closet door. Snufkin opened the door for her and stepped inside after her. They sat down next to each other and took a breath since they ran to the closet. I don't think Sniff will be able to find us in here, Snufkin, Haley said to him while looking through the crack between the two doors that faced the dull-colored walls. Snufkin pulled her into a hug where her back faced him and she was in between his knees. Which is why it's the perfect hiding spot, my dear, he whispered, yelled while looking down at her, and she looked up at him. Haley laughed silently and got comfortable by cuddling closer to Snufkin, and he rested his chin on Haley's head. Oh my god. They stayed like this for a few minutes until they jumped out of their Twitter-pated state with the guest door opening. We know you're in here, Snufkin and Haley. We looked everywhere else. Lil Ma yelled for them while the others helped look for them. Snufkin and Haley shrugged and smiled at each other, knowing it was time to come clean. They opened the closet door and greeted the group. That was a really good hiding place, Snufkin and Haley. We searched endlessly for you two, Moomin said while smiling. What were you two doing in there anyways? Were you two kissing again? Lil Mai teased. He said them while everyone was trying not to laugh. Lil Mai! Quit teasing! Me and Snufkin! Snufkin pulled his hat over his eyes to hide his embarrassment, and Haley put her hands on her hips while still looking down at Lil Mai. Now stop that, Lil Mai. We did nothing of the sort. You are clearly making Snufkin and I uncomfortable. I would like you to apologize to the both of us. Haley coming in here and being responsible and that. Gotta love a protective girlfriend. Yeah, Lil Mai. You apologize to Snufkin and me. All right. I'm sorry, Snufkin, and I'm sorry to you too, Haley. Snufkin lifted his hat back up and smiled, a bit at his girlfriend. It's quite all right, Lil Mai. Should we go see if Moomin Mama is done preparing lunch yet? Haley asked the group. Oh yes, please. I'm starving, Sniff said while rubbing his stomach. You're always starving, Sniff, Lil Mai, Snorkman, and Moomin said at the same time. The whole group laughed and walked down the stairs to the kitchen. Everyone except Snufkin and Haley. I'm very sorry about Lil Mai, he Snufkin. It was really none of her business to stir into what we were doing, Haley said while kissing her girlfriend's cheek. Oh, it wasn't your fault, my dear. You can't control what Lil Mai does. No need to apologize, he said while rubbing his hand on her right cheek. They kissed on the lips once more and exited the guest room to walk down the stairs. Once they got to the kitchen, Moomin Mama prepared a vegetable soup with a roll for each bowl. Moomin Papa walked down the stairs herself from his office and kissed his wife, who was sitting at the table. "Thank you, my dear. Your cooking looks smells delightful as always." Moomin Mama kissed him back, and Moomin Papa sat down to eat his bowl of soup. Snufkin and Haley sat down next to each other and waited for Moomin Mama to sit down so they could eat. While they were eating, Moomin was telling a story of him seeing a rainbow fish at the river where Snufkin usually fished next to his tent. Of course, there was the occasional argument where Little Mice saying that it never happened and Moomin saying it did. After lunch, Moomin Papa went back upstairs to his office to continue working. Would you all like to stay here for dinner? We could play shadow puppets and charades. I think that's how you pronounce it. Tonight, when it gets dark, and I'll make it some hot cocoa, Moomin Mama said to Snufkin and I. Yes, please, Sniff said, smiling. I will stay as well, thank you. What about you, my dear? Snufkin said, turning to Haley. As I will, my dear. Oh my, are you two together? Moomin Mama questioned the two. Yes, we are, Moomin Mama. It happened yesterday afternoon. Snufkin nodded and took Haley's hand. Well, congratulations, you two. I'm very happy for you, Moomin Mama said while clapping her hands slightly. Thank you, Moomin Mama, Haley said while hugging Snufkin. Hey, Snufkin, Haley. We are going outside to play tag. Would you like to join us? Moomin said while walking up to the three of them. I would love to, Moomin. Haley walked up to Moomin and stopped to look at Snufkin. What about you, Snufkin? Snufkin smiled. I would love to, my dear. Bye, Mama. We'll be back before supper, Moomin yelled while running out to the front door. Haley and Snufkin walked behind him with their arms linked together. Moomin Mama smiled and went back to the knitting she was doing this morning before lunch. Still third-person point of view. After playing in the fields for a few hours, they all laid down on the grass and pointed at the clouds passing by. That one looks like a flower, Snork Maiden pointed at the cloud. That one looks like an apple, Snuff pointed at one as well. That one looks like Papa, Moomin pointed at one while the others laughed at the funny-looking cloud. Soon enough, it started to get dark, and all the clouds went away, so they went inside for supper. When they got inside, they saw Moomin Mama putting supper on the table. They all sat down to eat, and of course, just like at lunch, Snufkin sat right next to Haley. The meal consisted of seasonal fish and with berries, potatoes, and a roll for each individual. Thank you, Moomin Mama. It's delicious. Haley took a bite of her fish and smiled at her. Thank you, dear. I'm glad you enjoy it, Moomin Mama said. Moomin Mama smiles while setting down glasses of raspberry juice for everyone. While eating, Haley felt Snufkin take her hand and hold it under the table. Haley looked at him and blushed. She felt her body heat up from the action, so she took a big sip of her raspberry juice and couldn't calm down the redness on her face. Snufkin chuckled slightly at the adorable sight of his flustered. After dinner, it was completely dark outside, so they decided to start the game of shadow puppets. Moon Papa set out the white sheet tied to the ceiling and the lantern behind it, but set the lantern as far away as he could so the sheet wouldn't catch fire. Mama got out a hot cocoa for everyone and gave everyone a mug, earning a thank you from everyone. I want to go first, Mama, Moomin said while looking at her. Moomin Mama smiled and nodded. Of course you can go first. Little Mai jumped from the couch and looked at Moomin Mama. Could I go after Moomin Mama? Of course, Little Mai. Everyone will get a turn. Moomin stepped behind the sheet and was thinking of a puppet to make. He finally thought of a bird and put his hands against the sheet. Everyone immediately started to guess, but nobody was getting it right. Moomin Papa thought it was an angel for crying out loud. Eventually, Moomin Mama guessed a bird and Moomin cheered for her. Mama was right. It was a bird. Eventually, everyone got the turn, so they decided to move on to charades. Haley got to go first since she went last on the shadow puppets game. Haley took a second to think of something to imitate, and she thought of an elephant. Haley put out her arm to imitate the long trunk of the large creature. A giraffe, Snuff yelled. Haley laughed slightly and shook her head. Everyone was shouting different answers until Snufkin said, An elephant? Haley nodded her head. Yes, that's it. She went to sit down next to Snufkin and kissed his cheek. Aww. He put his arm around her and she snuggled into the side of his body. Soon enough, it was down to Moomin who went last. He was in the middle of doing his charade when Moomin Papa shuddered and stood up. Everyone else stopped laughing and looked at Moomin Papa. What's wrong, Honey Papa? I just felt a cold feeling. All of a sudden, he grabbed the lantern from behind the sheet and ran outside, only to slip on ice. Dear, are you okay? Moomin Mama ran over to her spouse and bent down to his level. I'm quite all right. Thank you, my dear. But that awful Groke is back. Oh no, she's making the area cold, Moomin Mama said. Haley has never heard or seen the Groke before, so she was a little shocked. She had not moved to Moomin Valley yet when the Moomin house faced the Groke. Don't worry, Mama. I'll take care of it. Now listen here, Groke. Would you please get off of our lawn? You're freezing everything. Snufkin stepped in front of Haley to protect her, but Haley felt a bit sad for the Groke. She stepped outside from behind Snufkin and walked up to her. The others were in shock, staring at the brunette-haired girl. They couldn't believe that she was endangering her life for the Groke. Hello, I'm Haley. I've never seen you around here before. Nice to meet you, Haley smiled. Snufkin went to help Haley, but Moomin Mama touched his shoulder, signaling him to wait. The Groke pointed to to her shoulder with a heart-shaped pin and smiled. You like it? You like it? It's for my grandmother. She gave it to me when I visited her last. Would you like it? The girl nodded her head and smiled. Haley took the pin off of her dress and held it in her palm, signaling the girl to take it. Haley was surprised, however, when she took it and stepped back holding her palm. Haley, did she freeze you? Who did he freeze your palm? Moomin asked while Snufkin ran to her and held her in the arms. Yes, she did. It didn't hurt. Just frightened me, he is all. Now, Miss Groke, you've got to what you wanted. Now leave before you freeze our house, Moomin Papa yelled. The Groke smiled, and Haley one last time and walked away with the pin still in her hand, freezing everything in her path. All right. Are you all right, my dear? Snufkin asked, still holding his girl in his arms. Yes, Snufkin, I'm all right, thank you. Haley turned to him and kissed his cheek. All right now that that's all over, it is time for bed, you two, said Moomin Mama, turning to Moomin and Lil Mai. Aw, but we never finished the charades, Lil Mai complained while walking into the house with Moomin. I'd better get home soon as well. Bye, Moomin Mama, and all of you. Snork Maiden waved goodbye, and they all waved to her as well. Sniffle left with her because he was scared to walk him by himself. Would you dears like to stay for the night? Moomin Mama offered while she held his husband's hand. Haley shook her head. No, thank you, Moomin Mama. I have tasks to attend to in the morning. All right, dear. You both would have a good day, Moomin Mama said while Moomin Papa nodded, and they both walked inside. So now it was just the couple. All right, love. Let's walk to your house, Snufkin said, holding her hand. Are you sure, Snufkin? You don't have to. You don't have to, love. Your tent is right at the river. I don't want it to be a bother. Haley looked up at him and smiled. Nonsense, my lovely. It's quite all right. Wouldn't want you to be alone, Snufkin assured. Haley giggled and squeezed his hand a little, and they held hands all the way to her cottage. Still third person point of view. When they got to Haley's house, they stopped right in front of her door to say their goodbyes. Goodbye, my dear. See you tomorrow. He kissed her on the lips and went to turn around. Wait, Haley grabbed his sleeve gently. He turned back to her. I know you usually like your privacy and your tent, but just for tonight, can you sleep here? She questioned while looking down at her fidgeting hands. Snufkin smiled and he turned around to hug her. Of course, my love. With that, Haley smiled and unlocked her door so they could get inside. She led Snufkin upstairs to her room. She grabbed her sleepwear for the night and changed it in the washroom. After she came out in her nightgown, she got some blankets and some pillows in her closet and put them on the floor so she could sleep down there. She also saw that Snufkin took off his hat, boots, and coat, so all he was wearing was his white undershirt and black pants. Haley, you don't have to sleep down there. Sleep up here with me. We are together now, right? And you do want to sleep next to me. Haley blushed and nodded. Yes, of course. Didn't want it to not to sleep next to you, though. I thought that would be moving the things too fast, and I didn't want you want to think I'm irregular her for wanting to. Snufkin put a single finger on her lips to single her her to calm down. He pulled at her on into the bed with him and pulled her close to his chest. It's all right, my dear. We aren't moving things too fast, and you are not irregular for thinking that. You don't know how long I've been waiting for this, Snufkin reassured her while stroking her hair. Haley pulled the covers over them and smiled. You have? I have been too. Yes, I have, my dear. I love you. Good night. He kissed the top of her head, but he didn't let go. He still held her in his arms. Soon, Haley fell in a deep sleep, and all she could remember was Snufkin's soft breathing. But before she fell asleep, she kissed his chest. I love you too, dear. Oh my god. Oh my god. If you guys ship Snufkin and me, I will scream. I will scream like a fangirl. I will scream like a Snufkin lover. Her fangirl. So yeah, I gotta go. I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.